Hi everyone, welcome back to Code with Yusuf. In the previous lesson, we have discussed about relationships. Now we will be focusing one-to-one relationship. In one-to-one relationship, a parent entity is associated with only one child entity. For instance, user and user password, citizenship and password, person and address. However, for our case, we will be focusing on the book and book details. In the previous lesson, we had created a book table. Now let's create book detail table. I'm creating new class under my domain folder. Right click, add class. I will write down book detail. It's my class name. At the same time, that is the table name. First, I will create its identity, integer, and ID. Let's think what could be inside the book details. Row. It could be page size. Public with string type, it could be introduction. When I create something with a string type, it gives me some warning and it says non-nullable property must contain non-nullable value when exiting constructor. That said, to avoid this warning message, we can say string.empty. If you say after writing down string.empty, the warning message disappears here. And here ESBN information we can keep. Same string.empty I will write down. Now in the book details class, I have write down all properties that I need, but how to create relationship between two tables. To create relationship between two tables, as you see, logically I have separated book is my parent entity and book details is my child entity. So I need to carry book's primary key inside the book details. To do it, I will write down prob integer book ID. This book ID represents primary key which comes from the book. After define book ID here, I will be writing down one more property also. This property is navigation property. Its type is book and name is same book. So in the entity framework, if entity framework come across this book ID and after that books, it understands it's a relationship. We could say entity framework core has some predefined convention, name conventions. By these name conventions, if you write down navigation property and it is ID, which comes from the book ID, and the framework core understands you want to create relationships. But how entity framework be sure that you want to create one-to-one relationships? Because in this case, entity framework core understands you want to create one-to-many relationships. One book can have several book details in this case. So to prevent it, I will be writing down probe book detail. The name here, it doesn't matter because that is the navigation property name. In our case, we have restricted and give information to entity framework core by the navigation property, and we say it. We want to create relationships, but these relationships should be one-to-one relationships. So let's create a migration and prove our information that is given right now. .NET EF migrations add. Let's give our migration name. Click enter. Our project created migration file. Let's observe how it's going inside it. I will open book details. Let's observe our migration file and see whether one-to-one relationships has been created successfully or not. To do it, first I will check from the first line. Here, our migration builder creates one table, which is the book details with these properties. And that is correct because it is totally covered with our properties. In the second line, in the constraints, here the migration builder creates primary key. That's correct because if entity framework see ID or with the book details ID, it considers it is primary key. The rest of is related are one-to-one relationships. Honestly, this line only related to relationships. In here, create index makes sure it is one-to-one relationships. First, let's understand the relationships here. In the foreign case, model builder says our book ID comes from the principal table, one parent table, which is the books, and it is related with the ID inside the books. And there is one more thing also that we need to mention. Delete action there is. We will discuss it later. That's why I will skip for now. In the migration file, we have one configuration, which is the create index. With this create index, we will force database like each book ID data in the book detail table should be unique. This unique restriction is the key point to create one-to-one relationship. It looks complicated, but I will prove it with some examples on the database. First of all, let's update our database with the migration file. After updating database correctly, let's see whether our database configured fine or not. In the book details table, I will right click and click the design, right click in anywhere and click the relationships. If you see, we have one relationships between the books table and book details table. So our configuration has done. Here we need to check one more thing. I will right click and click the indexes. Here if you see we have one index on the book ID, but it is unique. So book ID only carry one unique data. Let's prove it. I will insert one record inside the book table. Since ID is incremental, like it is identity, I don't need to provide ID. That's name and creation date. Name is C# development. Creation date is get date. It represents current date. Sorry, I need to use single quotes. One row has been added. Now we should add one information related to book details also. Insert book detail. Same, since ID is primary key, it will be going incremental, like we don't need to provide ID information. Page size, introduction, ESPN, and book ID. Values, introduction, some kind of information I'm providing. And book ID here needs to comes from the ID. Now I will provide one. If I try to insert these rows, it will be inserting, but if I try to insert with same ID, which is the book's ID is 1, it throws error. So it says I cannot insert duplicate key rows in the objects because book ID should involve unique key. After proving these things, let's see how to add related data inside the one-to-one relationships. Before we had created books controller, let's try to save related data with the book and book details in one function. I will execute my project. If we go through with the books controller functions, like the insert functions, we will see books already involves book details. So if we try it out, the example JSON shows we can save book and book details in one shot. As we have seen in previous lesson, we don't need to provide ID because it will be created automatically. Name, I will provide something. Entity framework core. The ID, which is related book details, will be automatically created again. I will delete it, no need to pass it. And book ID also is related to the relationships. So only with this necessary information, I am trying to save related data. When I click execute, it should throw error. Yes, it throws validation error. I will fix it. In the validation error, it says detail and the book is required, but we don't need to pass detail. I will make it optional. Run project again. Same information I will provide. No need ID. With same information, I will click execute button. We have seen 200 response message that says our save operation has been successful. So let's have a look how we have added in the database. If we check with these two information, we see second books with the ID 2 has been created, and after that book details has been created with the ID 4. That's automatically, we don't touch, and SQL Server arrange it. introduction, ESPN, and book ID. This book's ID represent the book which comes from the primary key of the book table. So we can say in anti-framework core, we can save related data without any pain. If we check book controller here, we just need to take book class and execute context.add context.save change. Since it is related, like there is one-to-one relationships between the book and book detail, if you execute add information, it could save book and book details together. In this case, you need to pass book details alongside with the book information. In the previous controller, we have already getBooks operation. In this getBooks operation, I can try it out and I can retrieve data. So here, if you see detail is null. To retrieve book details information alongside with the books, we need to use IQRable include method. I will use include and specify body of the method x.details. With the includes, I will specify I would like to get detail information. So I will run my project again. But most probably it will throw error. Let's try it. And I try to get, click execute. In this case, we could say when entities contains circular navigation properties, JSON serialization may enter an infinite loop and throw an exceptions to the nested reference cycles. Let's see how to solve it. In the program CS, after add controllers, I will click add JSON's options. I will write down options, JSON serializer options dot reference handle equal reference handle ignore cycles. So by ignoring these cycles, we prevent to raise error. Let's try it one more time. Try it out, execute. If you notice that we have read successfully book details alongside with the book's information. Now, after saving related data together in the insert operation and retrieve related data together in the get operation, let's see how to delete this related information by the delete method. In our case, there is one problem. Imagine if we delete C# development here, related row record in the book details shouldn't be here. It should be deleted automatically. Or you should prevent it to be deleted. In our case right now, on these delete actions, we just delete the parent entity alongside with the child entity. So if we delete parent entity, child entity, related record will be deleted automatically. But in the next lessons, like in the depth of the anti-framework course, we will see how to prevent it, how to throw error, or how set this book ID is null, or some kind of other actions we will see how to do it. Let's execute and read data again. Let's delete the first books in the system. I will click the delete, try it out, ID is 1, execute. If you see, it has been deleted successfully. If we check our books details, we just read books, we just remove it and save the change. If we check our books and book details information in the database, we'll see first row has been deleted correctly from the books table, from the book detail table. Thanks for watching. We'll be focusing more on the one-to-one relationship in the next lesson.